Here are some surprising facts about Angelina Jolie.
Since making her debut as a child all the way back in 1982 and starting her career in 1993.
This is so hard because I'm such an honest person, and it's so hard for me to do these kind of things because the answer is I probably take things off.
Her divorce from Brad Pitt got finalized. After a jaw-dropping 8 years, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie have officially called it quits.
After 8 years, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have finally settled their bitter divorce,
signing on the dotted line to finalize their divorce on December 30th, 2024. Remember way back when the Maria star filed to end their 2-year marriage?
Jolie claimed Pitt was abusive to her and their children during the 2-year marriage.
Well, according to Angelina's lawyer, James Simon, this concludes just one part of a long, ongoing process. Angelina and the kids packed their bags and left all the properties they shared with Brad ages ago, aiming to find some long overdue tranquility.
Well, at stake was how to split their reported $520 million fortune. Most assets will be divided according to the prenup.
Frankly, Angelina is exhausted, her lawyer adds, but she's relieved to finally see some closure. Meanwhile, a friend close to Angie spills that she doesn't trash talk Pitt publicly or privately. She's been working overtime to keep things positive, and you can't blame her after such a bumpy road. With this drama now behind her, all eyes are on Angie's next move, because if there's one thing we know about Miss Jolie, she always keeps us guessing. She once wore a part of Billy Bob Thornton in a vial. One of the most jaw-dropping anecdotes from Jolie's past involved those infamous necklaces she and Billy Bob Thornton wore, each containing the other's ichor. It was the ultimate Hollywood oddity. Some said it was super romantic, others called it downright bizarre. Back in the early 2000s, tabloids had a field day reporting on how Jolie and Thornton were essentially advertising their love in the most gothic way possible. Although Jolie later insisted that they'd only done a quick finger prick, the media turned it into a vampire-level spectacle. Even today, people recall this as one of her most rebellious moments, defining an era when Jolie's personal life was as edgy as any role she played on screen. Thornton, for his part, has reminisced in interviews that the whole thing got way more attention than they intended. Evidently, they thought it was a sweet gesture, but the press latched onto it like it was proof Angelina and Billy were out to redefine romance. If social media had been in its full glory back then, can you imagine the frenzy? #VampGoals would have probably been trending for weeks. So she actually took flying lessons and got a pilot's license. While many stars splurge on private jets, Angelina decided to pilot one herself. She developed a fascination with aviation in the early 2000s, partly because her father, John Voight, had a serious fear of flying. In typical Angelina fashion, she flipped her father's phobia on its head by diving into flight school, earning her pilot's license around 2004, and people in their inner circle whispered that this was classic Angelina. She sees a challenge and she conquers it. Today, Angelina sometimes soars above Los Angeles in a single-engine Cirrus SR22, occasionally bringing her children along for the ride. The press has snapped photos of her seated comfortably in the cockpit, head-on, looking every bit the adventurer she is. With an already busy schedule raising kids, acting, directing, and championing various humanitarian causes, you'd think flying lessons wouldn't fit in. But for someone as relentless as Angelina, it's just another Monday. She toyed around with being a funeral director. Before red carpets and Oscars, she considered a career that would have put her on a starkly different path. Funeral services. Yep, you read that right. In interviews, she revealed that as a teenager, she was troubled by how impersonal and cold funerals often felt. She thought she could make them more compassionate, more tailored to the family's needs. While it sounds like a morbid pastime, it fits her well-known fascination with all things unconventional. Had she followed through, we might have seen a sultry Angelina's funeral home in Los Angeles. Imagine the tabloid headlines. Family, friends, and fans see this on The Tidbit as one more example of how far outside the Hollywood norm Angelina has always operated. She's never been content to follow anyone else's script, so the notion of her reimagining funerals isn't that shocking. She's had a roller coaster relationship with John Voight. Her complicated rapport with her father, John Voight, spans decades and is played out in the public eye. The two famously butted heads when Voight went on TV claiming his daughter had problems. Jolie was enraged, and soon the pair had little to no contact. At one point, they dropped each other's last names. Jolie legally ditched Voight, and he didn't hesitate to distance himself from her either. As time passed, they made tentative steps toward reconciliation. John has attended events with Angelina, praising her humanitarian efforts, and she mentioned him more openly in interviews. Though they seem to have arrived at a place of civility, rumors swirl that their relationship remains fragile. For someone as fiercely independent as Angelina, forging a better bond with Voight likely required plenty of introspection and maybe a fresh perspective on forgiveness. She's a devoted humanitarian on a global scale. Although many celebrities dabble in charity, Angelina's approach to humanitarian work is deeply hands-on. She began collaborating with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in 2001, visiting refugee camps in war-torn regions. Insiders at the time doubted her intentions, dismissing it as a phase. But Angelina proved the naysayers wrong by becoming a goodwill ambassador and later a special envoy, passionately advocating for displaced families. She's traveled to countries like Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, often without a big entourage, trying to grasp the complexities of each humanitarian crisis. Angelina's philanthropic resume includes founding the Maddox Jolie Pitt Foundation in Cambodia to support education and conservation projects. Colleagues say she takes her role seriously, frequently discussing policy changes with officials behind closed doors. And while skeptics once questioned her motives, these days even harsh critics concede her efforts to go well beyond photo ops. Another not-so-secret aspect of Angelina's persona is her love of tattoos. People know she sports the Latin quote on her lower abdomen and the coordinates of her children's birthplace on her upper arm, but few realize she has a sprawling collection. Each tattoo has a story. There's a Buddhist prayer on her back that she got in Cambodia, the Bengal tiger that covers much of her lower back, and the infamous dragon that she's since modified. Angelina has spoken about how each tattoo marks a stage in her life. Some are tributes to her children, others nod to the places she's traveled or meaningful quotes. Friends say she's selective about artists, often flying them in from overseas, though she occasionally removes ink that no longer resonates, like the Billy Bob reference post-divorce. She's never let Hollywood norms about clean skin dictate her body art. In fact, she seems to relish standing apart in an industry that often prizes conformity. Jolie's charitable streak extends beyond on-the-ground activism. Word has it that when she starred in the 2010 action thriller Salt, she donated a whopping 1/3 of her salary to various humanitarian causes. Although precise numbers remain hush-hush, insiders leaked that Jolie felt it was her only fair to share the wealth because she's been so well compensated. Over the years, she's offered financial support to everything from children's hospitals to educational initiatives in underprivileged communities. She doesn't typically blast it from the rooftops, preferring a lower key approach. Still, fans and industry watchers alike keep tabs on her philanthropic footprint, pointing to that hefty Salt donation as her commitment to meaningful giving. Her first big directing project was set in Bosnia during a tough time. Critics praised her ambition, although the film's themes polarized audiences. She went on to direct Unbroken, the saga of Olympian hero Louis Zamperini. By all accounts, Jolie poured her heart into capturing the hardships in that story. Angelina's relationship with Tinseltown remains something of a love-hate affair. On one hand, she scooped up an Oscar and starred in mega hits like Maleficent. She's been an A-lister since her early 20s, and there's no denying her box office draw. On the other hand, she's openly critiqued at the industry's obsession with appearances and fame, often choosing indie or humanitarian-focused projects over standard Hollywood fare. Friends say she'd rather immerse herself in activism or direct a passion project than churn out big-budget roles for paychecks alone. She's also fiercely protective of her private life, at least as much as one can be under the paparazzi spotlight, and rarely bows to pressure from studios to be more accessible. In a way, her entire career has been a balancing act between reaping the rewards of movie stardom and challenging the status quo. It's exactly this tension that keeps fans enthralled, wondering what unexpected move she'll make next. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt finally settled their divorce.
After 8 years, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have finally settled their bitter divorce.
After millions of dollars, a lot of tears, a whole lot of turmoil, they're finally finished with it. This divorce took a messy 8 years to get through. When Angelina and Brad Pitt got together after their movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I felt so bad for Jennifer Aniston. And I was a fan of all three of them. I loved Brad Pitt, I loved Angelina, I loved Jennifer Aniston. But it was so messy, and the fact that Jennifer Aniston had to deal with that in the public eye, it must have been heartbreaking. Meanwhile, and I say this with love because I do love Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie was literally taking her problem away. Now Angelina and none of his kids want to talk to him. Everyone thinks he's a bad guy right now, and Jennifer Aniston kind of rose from the ashes like a phoenix. When it comes to Angelina Jolie, this is what was said. More than 8 years ago, Angelina filed for divorce from Mr. Pitt. She and the children left all of the properties they had shared with Mr. Pitt, and since that time, she's focused on finding peace and healing for their family.
Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's divorce saga finally ending after 8 years of legal jabs.
Angelina's lawyer, James Simon, said in a statement to Page 6, "This is just one part of a long, ongoing process that started 8 years ago. Frankly, Angelina is exhausted, but she is relieved this one part is over." The former couple met while co-starring in the 2005 movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith. At the time, Brad Pitt was still married to Jennifer Aniston, who ended up divorcing him that same year, and Jolie was a single mother to son Maddox, who she adopted from Cambodia in 2002. In 2005, Brad Pitt accompanied Angelina Jolie to Ethiopia to adopt daughter Zahara. The actor legally adopted both children the following year, a few months before daughter Shiloh was born. In 2007, the pair welcomed son Pax, adopted from Vietnam, to their family. The following year, the actress gave birth to her and Brad Pitt's fraternal twins, Knox and daughter Vivian. They also purchased Chateau Miraval in France and launched Miraval wines. Brangelina announced their engagement in April 2012 and said "I do" at the multi-million-dollar estate in August 2014. However, in September 2016, shortly after their second wedding anniversary, Angelina filed for divorce. It wasn't until 2022 that details surrounding an infamous private plane incident, which occurred days before Jolie requested to end the marriage, were revealed. During the flight, a now sober Brad Pitt allegedly grabbed the neck of one of the children, struck another in the face, grabbed Angelina Jolie by the head and shook her. He also allegedly poured beer and red wine on Angelina Jolie and the kids. Both the FBI and the DCFS cleared him. Brad has always denied doing anything physical to anybody. A judge declared the duo legally single in April 2019. They spent the next several years negotiating the custody of their brood and divvying up their finances. In May 2021, a judge awarded Brad Pitt joint custody, but the decision was reversed 2 months later after the judge was found to have a conflict of interest. In October of that year, Jolie sold her 50% stake in Miraval Wines, the wine division of the Stoli Group, prompting Brad Pitt to sue her the following February. He accused her of violating their agreement by failing to receive his permission to sell her share and claimed she damaged the reputation of their business. Angelina Jolie filed a countersuit in September 2022.
Hollywood actress Angelina Jolie is throwing massive shade at Hollywood after she announced that she is going to be leaving that place.
This is so hard because I'm such an honest person.
Angelina Jolie is done with Hollywood and is gonna leave for good after she divorces Brad Pitt. If you don't know, Angelina Jolie and her husband Brad Pitt have been going through a divorce for literally 7 years now, and at this point, you could imagine it's been getting pretty messy, hence a long, ongoing, dragged out divorce process.
Angelina Jolie is shedding light on the healing journey she and her family went through following her and Brad Pitt's divorce.
Now Angelina Jolie is opening up a little bit more about the divorce and what's going on behind the scenes, as well as where she's at mentally and emotionally about it.
The Oscar winner in Humanitarian touched on their 2016 separation in a new cover story with WSJ magazine.
Angelina went on to say that after her divorce, she lost the ability to live and travel as freely as she did before, and she revealed that she will move as soon as she can.
What's that expression? It's how well you walk through the fire, but you walk through it.
Brad Pitt and Angelina, parents of 6 children, they tied the knot back in 2014 after almost 10 years together. However, their marriage abruptly ended in 2016 when Angelina filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences.
Angelina also reflected on how in the years since her divorce,
Feel everything and then go right through it and get out the other end.
This decision, though, to end their marriage reportedly followed accusations of Brad Pitt physically mistreating Angelina and their eldest child, Maddox, and this happened during a private plane, and this incident took place in September 2016 when Maddox was just 15 years old.
Ironically, as part of the problem, she's part of the reason why Hollywood is such a messed up place.
Angelina is said to have documented the alleged plane incident in legal papers, accusing Brad of both physical and emotional mistreatment. This led to an FBI investigation into Brad Pitt's actions, and he admitted to yelling at his son, but denied causing any physical harm to either Maddox or Angelina. Ultimately, he was cleared of all of the charges. But despite that, it still didn't fix the marriage, and the alleged private plane incident, coupled with their disputes over shared assets and custody, has made Angelina and Brad Pitt's split exceptionally messy and continues to unfold publicly.
I think someone who's bold and maybe a little mad.
In an interview with the Wall Street Journal in December of 2023, Angelina disclosed that once their divorce is completely finalized, she intends to leave Los Angeles. She's gone from Hollywood entirely. She describes Hollywood and its surroundings as shallow, and she expressed a desire to pursue more authenticity in her life.
The Maleficent actress is opening up about her decision to eventually leave Los Angeles.
She just wants to be around more authentic people, authentic environment. So for Angelina, she said that she grew up in Hollywood, so she wasn't really somebody that bought into the whole hype of going to Hollywood one day and buying into the glitz and glamour of it all. Like, she's been there, she's born into it. She would rather spend more of her time now visiting and helping refugees and traveling to other countries and spending time with people who have really gone through tough experiences, like people that are more down to earth and not as fake as she says the people in Hollywood are. Not that people in Hollywood don't really go through tough times either, and there's not any genuine people in Hollywood, but just the whole Hollywood scene, I think, for Angelina has gotten boring for her, and the environment just isn't a place anymore that she feels that she can thrive in.
Get out of your head and be willing to make a fool of yourself.
Despite her desire to leave though, Angelina mentioned that due to the divorce, her ability to travel freely has been restricted over the past few years. And discussing her divorce more closely, Angelina revealed that she and her children have had to go through a healing process after all of this that went down, especially in the past few years. It was really intense for them. And in her own words, this is what she said: "We had to heal. There are things we needed to heal from." And then when speaking about the closeness that she shares with her kids, here's what she added: "They are the closest people to me in my life, and they are my closest friends. We're 7 very different people, which is our strength."
When your children are your best friends, it's kind of it's a nice life.
All right, everybody, there you have it. Angelina Jolie, she is officially done with Hollywood. It's just a matter of time now. But with the way that this divorce is dragging on, who knows when it will ever finish. We may see it finish in a few years. Maybe it's gonna drag on for another 7 years. I don't really know. I don't think that Angelina wants to have it drag out any longer. That's why she's speaking out a little bit more publicly. It's like, let's get the ball rolling, kind of putting the pressure on Brad Pitt a little bit. Hopefully they can come to some type of settlement when it comes to assets and custody. Both of them are phenomenally successful actors. Both of them are extremely rich. So as you could imagine, when you enter a marriage, you know, shared assets and everything, trying to get that divided up and split equally, and especially when you have so many children together, as you could imagine, this is exhausting. I'm sure it's an emotional roller coaster for Brad Pitt as well. But guys, I want to know, what do you think about this in Angelina? Good call for her to get out of Hollywood, just change it up completely, or do you not buy it? I know some people are out there saying that they don't actually buy Angelina's side of the story. Brad Pitt would never mistreat her like that. She's just trying to get money, trying to get her way, trying to have control over the kids. There's some people that think that.
Angelina Jolie was born to be famous, stunning from birth with such unique features that are timeless. I think of her as an old school, aspirational kind of starlet. She is so beautifully unique and a talented actor. She's 49 now, and this is how her look has evolved from 1997. This shot of Angelina dates back to 1997 when she was just 22 years old. Already she is brimming with confidence on the red carpet, no doubt because she grew up under the wing of her famous father, Jon Voight, and had been acting as a child and a teen. She's sporting the short haircut and skinny eyebrows that were super popular in the late 90s, but underneath it all, you can still sense the star quality. Ange is famous for her full lips and almond-shaped eyes, and here we can see that they were always there. Not to mention the charisma that oozes out of this picture. Remember, celebs weren't doing hyaluronic acid lip fillers in the 1990s? The only option was silicone, which I doubt could look this good. This photo was in 1999. At this time, her naturally brunette hair had been lightened to blonde for her breakout role in Girl Interrupted. In 2000, Angelina's look completely changed. To accept her Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, she appeared to be channeling goth icon Morticia Addams. Her blonde hair was transformed to jet black, and she also discovered winged liner. She slayed this look. Although it wasn't as extreme as the previous year, she brought an edgy vibe to the red carpet again in 2001. Her hair was still dyed black, just tied up in a bun, and she prominently displayed a dragon tattoo that said Billy Bob on her upper arm. So remember, this was long before tattoos became mainstream. Pretty cool that she did this. In 2003, she was 28 by this time. She slowly began to move away from goth and towards a more conventional Hollywood look. So she went back to brown hair styled in long waves and with more natural makeup. We can see that underneath the brow pencil, most of her brow hair is actually gone, although it fortunately would grow back within a few years. In 2004, after separating from Billy Bob, Angelina stepped out looking more like a Victoria's Secret bombshell than her former vampire chic. With a lighter hair color, glossy lips, and lined eyes, She is totally stunning. Around this time, people were accusing her of getting a nose job, but if she did, it's so natural that it barely made a difference. In 2005 was when Mr. and Mrs. Smith came out. She was constantly in the tabloids, thanks to a blossoming relationship with her co-star Brad Pitt. With her pouty lips, long lashes, full mane of brunette hair, she looked every inch the Hollywood superstar. In 2007, Angelina continued to turn heads on the red carpet after becoming a mom. She was 31 by this time, and she'd given birth to Shiloh the year before. This high bun and winged liner are classics. Who looks this good after giving birth to twins with 4 other kids in the house? Angelina, that's who. She went back to her darker brunette hair color. She embraced what was quickly becoming her signature look of shaded eyes and pale glossy lips. This was in 2008. In 2010, Angie had bangs, which she didn't decide to keep but looked so great on her. To go with her new look, she lightened her hair again to a softer mid-brown and dialed up the drama with charcoal eyeliner and false lashes. Angelina's 2012 Oscars look was one that we won't soon forget, but not because she surprised us with red lipstick, it's because she kept flaunting her right leg, inspiring countless Photoshop memes that still circulate a decade later. After speculation that the leg thing might negatively affect her career, she kept a low profile for a while. No more red lips, no more gowns with high slits, just understated glamour like she epitomized here. This was perfect with her go-to individual lashes. It's so simple, so pretty, she slayed. If this is 40, sign me up. She is perhaps the most beautiful of all in this stripped back look of natural hair, barely their makeup except for some low-key lashes and eyeliner to extend out her eye shape. Angelina seems more luminous here, and it's probably because 2019 was her year. Not only was her divorce from Brad Pitt finalized, making her officially single again, she also made a professional comeback by reprising her role in the Maleficent series. That brings us to this red carpet appearance, and she seems to be aging in reverse. Let me remind you. She's 46 in these photos, but she could almost pass for a decade younger here. The slightly lighter hair color softens her features, her skin has a real natural glow to it, and notice how much fuller her eyebrows have become, which contributes to the youthful effect. To wrap this up, Angelina has said that she hasn't had any work done at all, and I believe her. She doesn't need it. She's aged gracefully, beautifully, and she continues to do so.